It is said that Fang Lair was originally built by the dwarves of Kragan. Legend has it that a great worm drove the dwarves from their home in the Dragon's Teeth and took the lair for itself. I only wish I knew the exact location. Perhaps there are sages or scholars who would know of this place. Somewhere in its dank depths lies the first piece of the Staff of Chaos. I wish you well. I do not think Thar knows of your escape, but I can do little else in this form. I have tried to obscure your identity with a spell, but I do not know how well it will hide you. Take care, for Tharn may be searching. Go forth with the blessings of the true Emperor, and myself.
Years after Tiberseptim's reign, the beginning will meet the end, and the bloody circle will close in the empire of Tamriel. The unworthy heirs of the Septim dynasty have allowed the bonds of the empire to weaken and crack. Uriel Septim, the Seventh, cannot repair what his ancestors ignored. the provinces to fight among themselves like neglected children, drunk with rebellion, and one indomitable power hides itself, but not forever.
Excuse the gloom, but none may know of this meeting. The nature of my trouble is darker still. Over a year ago, King Lysandus of Daggerfall died honorably on the field of battle. He was as loyal a subject, ally, and friend as you are. I did grieve for him, but his spirit does not rest. With a spectral army, he haunts his former kingdom, crying for revenge. I do not know why a good and loyal man would be so cursed. Perhaps you can find the answer and close the marble jaws of oblivion, bringing peace to his soul. I ask this as your emperor and your friend. I have one lesser request. Several years ago, I wrote a letter to the Queen of Daggerfall. It never arrived. The letter was of a sentimental and personal nature. If you find and destroy that letter, I will be grateful. Now, my champion, rest well this night, for tomorrow you sail for the kingdom of Daggerfall.
I recall the story of the recovery of the battle spire, as it was told to me by the son of old Khmer, these many years ago. How the legions of Daedra Lord Mehrunes Dagon overran the spire, aided by betrayal. How a young hero from obscure origins entered the battle spire, proving ground and testing facility for the Shadow Legion, the Imperial Guard, and finding his test was more than he bargained for. Thinking this was only a harmless test of his skills, he enters the spire through the Pillar of Light and finds a hell created by the betrayal of the Legion and the perfidy of Jaeger Tharn, arch-traitor to the Empire. And so, our story begins.
is late in the Second Era, a time of war, as the empire of Tiber Septim sweeps through the kingdoms of Tamriel in a glorious bid for conquest. Septim is opposed on all sides, but never more fiercely than by Hammerfell, the ancestral home of the Red Gods. The High King of Hammerfell, Thasard II, resists the imperial invasions even as he sees other kingdoms crumble, until at last, without warning and surprisingly devoid of court treachery, death takes its full measure. With its High King dead, Hammerfell is crippled, plunging into a bloody civil war between the crowns, fighting for their homeland's continued sovereignty, and the forebears, who have finally accepted the Emperor's rule. The crowns, led by the heir to Thasard, Prince Ator, are continually victorious, spilling the blood of the forebears across Hammerfell's sands. From his seat of power in the port city of Stros Makai, Prince Ator slowly reunites his father's unraveled kingdom. Feeling their impending defeat, the forebears sign a pact with the Emperor, allowing him to bring his armies in, crush the crowns, and rule Hammerfell as his own. Tiber Septim's armies prove too much for the proud Red God crowns. Tiber Septim sends his best commander, Lord Richten, to Stros Makai to close the grip on Prince Ator and the crowns. The prince rallies his forces for one last stand. Knowing that Hammerfell's sovereignty is at stake, the crown forces match the might of the empire, meeting them in the harbor of Stros Makai for the final battle. The fighting is fierce. Lord Richten, having seen the prince's victories at sea before, decides to bring his last resource to the fore. The dragon, Nathalilagus, proud jewel of the imperial crown. Ator commands his archers to ready their weapons, but is struck down himself by Richten's assassin, felled by an arrow whose poison spreads too fast. Ator's wizard attempts to save the prince, but the dragon ends his magic and the crown's hope for victory in a single fiery breath. Having conquered the crowns, the Emperor's forces claim rule over all of Hammerfell. Imperial garrisons are stationed at every city, and Richten himself is named provisional governor of Stros Makai. Months pass. The Red Guards of Hammerfell, both crown and forebear, learn to live under the new imperial rule, and Tiber Septim extends his reach into the rest of Tamriel. It is only through fate that any of this will come to concern our hero, Cyrus, a Red Guard who long ago left Hammerfell to wander the borderlands of the Empire.
should have acted. They're already here. The Elder Scrolls told of their return. Their defeat was merely a delay. To the time after Oblivion opened. When the Sons of Skyrim would spill their own blood. No one wanted to believe they even existed. And when the truth finally dawned, it dawns in fire. But there's one they fear. In their tongue, he's Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.